Welcome to SOL 302, Study Session 8, the Ibibio, Ijaw, and Urhobo of Nigeria. Introduction. In this study session, three ethnic groups will be discussed. The first is the Ibibio people. In this, their origin, political system, economy, religion, and art will be discussed. The second ethnic group is the Ijaw. In this, their language, clan, economy, political system, lifestyle, and religious and cultural practices will be examined. The third ethnic group is the Urhobo. In this, the history, political system, culture, economy, and religion of the Urhobo people will be looked at. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Discuss the economy and political system of the Ibibio. 2. Explain the lifestyle, religious, and cultural practices of the Ijaw. 3. Explain the history and political system of the Urhobo people. The Ibibio people. The Ibibio people, also known as Moko during slavery, are an ethnic group in southeastern Nigeria. They are closely related to the Anang and the Efik people. Ibibio may also refer to those who speak the Ibibio language. Ibibio is an ancient state in Old Calabar Kingdom. During the colonial period in Nigeria, the Ibibio Union was formed, asking for recognition by the British as a sovereign state. The Ibibio people are found predominantly in Akwa Ibom and are made up of the related Anang community, the Ibibio community, and the Eket and Oron communities, although other groups usually understand the Ibibio language. Because of the larger population of the Ibibio people, they hold political control over Akwa Ibom state, but government is shared with the Anangs, Eket, and Oron. The political system follows the traditional method of consensus. Even though elections are held, practically the political leaders are pre-discussed in a manner that is benefiting to all. Origin. The Ibibio have lived in the Cross River area of modern-day Nigeria for several hundred years, and while written information about them only exists in colonial records from the late 1800s on, oral tradition have them in the region much earlier than these. With common ancestors, the Ibibio also include the Anang and the Efik, Oron, and Eket, with combined population of over 10 million. History has it that their ancestors were Egyptian Jews that resulted from the marriage of Israelites to Egyptians who migrated from Egypt through Ethiopia and Sudan into the present land via Ghana and Cameroon. Ibibio means short or brief. Doesn't have anything to do with the height of the Ibibios. There are many areas in Ibibio land that have their dialectical differences. In some places, family is called Ekwere and Ekpu. In some places, family is called Ekwere and Epu in other areas. Goat is called Ibiot in eastern Ibibio Ikono, but called Ebot in others. Ed is pronounced Iwood in some areas, but called Ibot in others. Road is called Okpodige and Usong in other places. Colonial period. The Ibibio people were located in the eastern Nigeria of Nigeria under British rule. The eastern region was split into 3 states. Southeastern state was where the Ibibio were located, one of the original 12 states of Nigeria after Nigerian independence. The Efik, Anang, Orong, Eket, and their brothers and sisters of the Ogota district were also found in the southeastern state. The state was later partitioned into 2 states Akwa Ibom, and Cross River. The Ibibios are Republican in nature. The issue of kinship in Ibibio is a modern-day creation. First is the family head who oversees the family. After this is the village head. Ibibio is made up of villages, though now there are towns like Uyo, Eket, Itu, Ibiaku, Untong, and Okbo. Economy. The main economic staple in the region is the palm tree, the oil of which is extracted and sold to external markets. Among the Ibibio, those of the highest rank in the Ekpo society, Amama, often control the majority of the community's wealth. Amama often appropriates hundreds of acres of palm tree for their own use and ensure with the profit they earn that their sons achieve comparable rank, effectively limiting access to economic gain for most members of the community. The Ekpo society requires that it initiates sponsor feasts for the town, which foster the appearance of the redistribution of wealth by providing the poor with food and drink. In effect, this allows the disparity in wealth to be perpetuated in Ibibio land. Political system. Individual villages are ruled by a group of village elders and the heads of extended families. Their decisions are enforced by members of the Ekpo society who act as messengers of the ancestors. Ekpo members are always masked when performing their policing duties, and although their identities are almost always known, fear of retribution from the ancestors prevent most people from accusing those members who overstep their social boundaries, effectively committing police brutality. Membership is open to all Ibibio male, but one must have access to wealth to move into the politically influencing grades. Religion. During the pre-colonial era, Ibibio religion was based on paying tribute to the village ancestors. Failing to appease these ancestors will result in the rot of the Ekpo society. The most important ancestors are those who achieved high rank while living, usually the house heads. They may control the fortunes of the descendants and are free to afflict those who fail to make the proper offering or those who fail to observe kinship norms. Allah is the earth deity and is appeased through Ogbom ceremony, which is believed to make children plentiful and to increase the harvest. It is performed in the middle of the year, every 8th day of 8 weeks by each section of the village in turn. During the colonial and post-colonial era, the Ibibios were introduced to Christianity through the work of early missionaries in the 19th century. Reverend Samuel Beale started his work at Ibeno. He established the Kwa Ibio Church, which later spread to places in the middle belt of Nigeria. The Methodist Church, the Roman Catholic Church, and the Presbyterian Church rolled into Ibibio hinterland. Later, day churches were also introduced, e.g., the Apostolic Church, independent churches, the Deeper Life Bible Church came into the area in the second part of the 20th century. Today, Ibibio people are predominantly Christians. The Ibibio practiced the killing of twins before it was abolished during the colonial era, with help of missionary Mary Slessor. Twins born were taken into the community's local Igbo forest and left to die, as it was a taboo for twins to be born. In places such as Ikot Anten, Edien Usung, Utu, Ikono local government area, such practices were common. These beliefs correspond with the same taboo that had been previously found with the Igbo people. Art, the mask and accoutrement of the Eku society make up the greatest works of art in Ibibio society. Drumming and music are also important elements in Ekpe ceremonies. The wooden sculpture from this area is also very detailed, and artists are just as likely to capture beauty as they are the hideous forms of evil spirits. The Ijos. Ijo, also known as a subgroup Ijo or Izon, are a collection of people indigenous mostly to the forest regions of Bayelsa, Delta, and River State within the Niger Delta in Nigeria. Some are natives of Edo and Ondo State, also in Nigeria. Many are found as migrant fishermen in camps as far west as Sierra Leone and as far east as Gabon along the western African coastline. They are believed to be some of the earliest inhabitants of southern Nigeria. The Ijaw people number about 9 million. They have long lived in locations near many sea trade routes, and they were well connected to other areas by trade as early as the 15th century. The geographic conditions of the Niger Delta region have resulted in the Ijaw being located astride trade routes throughout the region. Routes connecting them to other West African groups were established at least as early as the 15th century. In the 1600s, the Ijaw served as intermediary slave traders between Europeans and African groups to the north of them. Due to their central location, the Ijaw have appropriated many outside ideas into their own expressive culture. This is most significantly expressed in Ijaw fashion choices. In recent years, many Ijaws have moved to Port Harcourt in search of employment, but many of the wealthy still maintain residencies in their homelands. Language. The Ijaw speak 9 closely related Niger-Congo languages, all of which belong to the Ijaw branch of Niger-Congo 3. The primary division between the Ijaw languages is that between Eastern Ijaw and Western Ijaw, the most important of the former group of languages being Izon, which is spoken by about 4 million people. There are 2 prominent groupings of the Izon language. The first term, either Western or Central Izon, consists of Western Ijaw speakers. Ekeremo, Shagbama, Basan, Akboy, Arogbo, Boma, Kabo, Ogoy, Tarakini, and Kolokuma Okpokukpa, Nembi, Braz, and Akasa dialects represent Southeast. Buseni and Okodia dialects are considered inland Ijaw. The other major linguistic group in Kalabari is considered an Eastern Ijaw language, but the term Eastern Ijaw is not the normal nomenclature. Kalabari is the name of one of the clans of the Ijaw that resides on the eastern side of the Niger Delta. That is Obonema, Buguma, Bakana, Dugema, etc., who form a major group in River State. Hence, their involvement in the fight for greater oil control. Other Eastern Ijaw clans are the Okrika, Mbani, and Nkoro. They are neighbors of the Kalabari in present-day Niger State, Nigeria. Other related Ijaw subgroups, which have distinct languages but very close kinship cultural and territorial ties with the rest of the Ijaw are the Epiet Atisa clan, Ngeni people, and Udekama. These groups speak Delta Ediot languages. The Ogia clan, Andioni people, as well as residents of Bukuma and Abuloma, speak Delta Cross River languages. It was discovered in the 1980s that a nearly extinct Bearpese Creole Dutch Berbice spoken in Guyana is partly based in Ijaw lexicon and grammar. Its nearest relative seems to be Eastern Ijaw, most likely Kalabari. Clans. Ijaw ethnic groups consist of 40 loosely affiliated clans. These clans are based along kinship lines and or shared cultural and religious traditions. The Ijaw were one of the first Nigerian people to have contact with the Europeans and were active as a go-between in trade between visiting Europeans and the people of the interior, particularly in the era before the discovery of quinine, when West Africa was still known as a white man's graveyard because of the endemic presence of malaria. Some of the kin-based trading lineages that arose among the Ijaw developed into substantial corporations which were known as houses. Each house had an elected leader as well as a fleet of war canoes for use in protecting trade and fighting rivals. The other main occupation common among the Ijaw has traditionally been fishing and farming. Being a maritime people, many Ijaws were employed in the merchant shipping sector in the early and mid 20th century. With the advent of oil and gas exploration in their territory, some are employed in that sector. Other main occupations are in the civil services of the Nigerian states of Bayelsa and Rivers, where they are predominant. Extensive state government sponsored overseas scholarship programs in the 1970s and 80s have also led to a significant presence of Ijaw professionals in Europe and North America. Another contributing factor to this human capital flight is the abject poverty in their homeland of the Niger Delta, resulting from decades of neglect of the Nigerian government and the oil companies in spite of the continuous petroleum prospecting in their region since the 1950s. Political system. People from Eastern Ijaw territory traditionally live in compact villages and towns that are politically integrated through a system of chiefs who are family or clan heads. High status is normally awarded in accordance with elaborate hierarchical systems and often results only after payments have been made to those already holding titles. People from Western and Central Ijaw territory acknowledged no central political authorities until the British arrived. Economy. The Ijaw rely largely upon their relationship with the river and ocean for their survival. They depend on trading goods and fishing to supplement farming and hunting. Yam and processed palm oil are produced in large quantities for outside trade. Women normally participate in large market systems where people trade and sell wares for pleasure as well as survival. Wealth is often redistributed through the institution of dowries. Usually, bride prices paid to people outside the immediate community are larger to compensate the bride's community for the loss of their children who will remain in the village of the husband. Those who live in Port Harcourt, the capital of the region, often work as professionals, traders, and civil servant workers. lifestyle. The Ijaw people live by fishing, supplemented by farming paddy rice, plantains, yams, cocoyam, bananas, and other vegetables, as well as tropical fruits such as guava, mangoes, and pineapples, and trading smoked dry fish, timber, palm oil, and palm kernels are processed for export. While some clans had powerful chiefs and a sacrifice society, other clans are believed not to have had any centralized confederacies until the arrival of the British. However, owing to influence of the neighboring kingdom of Benin, individual communities, even in the Niger Delta, Niger, also had chiefs and government at the village level. Marriages are completed by the payment of a bridal dowry, which increases in size if the bride is from another village. Funeral ceremonies, particularly for those who have accumulated wealth and respect, are often very dramatic. Traditional religious practices centered around water spirits in the Niger water and around tribute to ancestors. Religion and cultural practices. Although the Ijaw are now primarily Christians, 95% profess to be so, with Catholicism and Anglicanism being the varieties of Christianity mostly prevalent among them. The Ijaw have elaborate traditional religious practices of their own. Veneration of ancestors play a central role in Ijaw traditional religion, while water spirits, known as Owu Amapu, figure prominently in the Ijaw pantheon. In addition, the Ijaw practice a form of divination called Igbada, in which recently deceased individuals are interrogated on the causes of their death. Ijaw religious belief hold that water spirits are like humans in having personal strength and shortcomings, and that human dwells among the water spirits before being born. The role of prayer in the traditional Ijaw system of belief is to maintain the living in good grace of the water spirits among whom they dwell before being born into this world, and each year the Ijaw holds celebration in honor of the spirits lasting for several days. Central to the festivities is the role of masquerades, in which men wearing elaborate outfits and carved masks dance to the beat of drums and maintain the influence of the water spirits through the quality and intensity of their dancing. Particularly, spectacular masqueraders are taken to actually be in the possession of the particular spirit on whose behalf they are dancing. The Ijaw are also known to practice ritual acculturation, whereby an individual from a different unrelated group undergoes rites to become Ijaw. An example of this is Jaja of Opobo, the Igbo slave boy who rose to become a powerful Ibani chief in the 19th century. Along with the Hebrew, they appear to be among the few living groups that carry out this practice. Food custom. Like many ethnic groups in Nigeria, the Ijaws have many local foods that are not widespread in Nigeria. Many of these foods involve fish and other seafoods such as clams, oysters, and periwinkles, yam, and plantains. Some of these foods are polofiya, a very rich soup made with yam and palm oil; kekefiya, a pottage made with chopped unripened plantains, fish, other seafoods, or game meat and palm oil; fried or roasted fish and plantain; gbe, the grub of the raffia palm tree beetle that is eaten raw, dried, or pickled in palm oil. Kalabari, sea harvest fulo, a rich mixed seafood soup or stew that is eaten with fufu, rice, or yams. Ethnic identity. Formerly organized into several loose clusters of villages which cooperated to defend themselves against outsiders, the Ijaws increasingly view themselves as belonging to a single coherent nation, bound together by ties of language and culture. This tendency has been encouraged in large part by what are considered to be environmental degradation that have accompanied the exploitation of oil in the Niger Delta region, which the Ijaw call home, as well as by a revenue sharing formula with the Nigerian federal government that is viewed by the Ijaw as manifestly unfair. The resulting sense of grievance has led to several high-profile clashes with the Nigerian federal authorities, including kidnapping, and in the course of which many lives have been lost. One manifestation of ethnic assentiveness on the part of the Ijaw has been an increase in the number and severity of clashes between Ijaw militants and those of Itsekiri groups, particularly in the town of Warri, Urhobo. The Urhobo are a people of southern Nigeria near the northwestern Niger Delta. The Urhobos are the major ethnic group in Delta State. The Delta State is one of the 36 states of the Nigerian Federation. They speak Urhobo, a language in Niger-Congo group. The Isoko and the Urhobo are related in language and culture, leading to the missionaries erroneously labeling both people as Sobo. This name was strongly rejected by both tribes. The Urhobo nation is made up of 20 subgroups, including Okwe, the largest of all Urhobo subgroups. The Urhobos are noted for having their own unique style of speaking Nigerian Pidgin English. Since their language is very demonstrative, that translates into their style of speaking English and Pidgin English. As a result of their unique language style, their names are also unique. An example of a unique Urhobo name would be the name Ona Odonwa, belonging to the Ona Odonwa family from Warri. Location. A bulk of the Urhobo people reside in the southwestern state of Delta in Nigeria, also referred to as Niger Delta. Many live in Ughelli local government region and in Warri and Etiope and in Okwe and Sapele local government areas. Their language is also called Urhobo, is believed to share similarities with the neighboring Benin or Edo tribe. History. Although the exact origin of Urhobo people is not known, they are closely related to their immediate neighbors based on linguistic and cultural similarities. Urhobo oral history is contradictory in that it claims that their origins are related to those of the Benin, but at the same time indicate that they are not Benin people. Other connections are made to the Igbo, Isoko, and Ijaw. Since the Benin, Igbo, and Ijaw all have cultural systems which are distinct from one another, the notion that Urhobo somehow emerged from all three seems doubtful. Political system. Urhobo political authority is based on kinship group, age grades, and title associations. At one time, Urhobo leaders were officially installed as the Oba of Benin. Those who had achieved sufficient status within their community would travel to the Oba, who would endow them with ceremonial swords and insignia that will add weight to their quest for power among their king's people. Culture. The Urhobos live very close to and sometimes to the surface of the Niger River. As such, most of their histories, mythologies, and philosophies are water related. They have an annual fishing festival that includes masquerades, fishing, swimming contests, and dancing. There is also an annual 2-day Oworu festival in the southern part of the Urhobo area, at which the Owohu water spirit and the Arave Oganga are displayed. The king in an Urhobo village is called the Ovie, his wife, the queen, is called Ovie Eya, and his children, Omo Ovie, child of the king. Often nowadays, these names are also given to children without royal heritage by their parents. A number of Urhobo subgroups have other titles other than Ovie. For example, the Okwe call their traditional ruler Orogie, and Olomo calls their own Oworude, and Okere Urhobo, theirs Orosuen. The Urhobo produce numerous art forms, including freestanding sculptures, a type of wooden sculpture that is popularly associated with the cult of the hand and mask and masquerading. Food. As with most tributes in Nigeria, As with most tribes in Nigeria, a certain food is considered to belong or originate from a particular tribe, as in pounded yam and egusi soup from the Igbos, eba and ogbono soup, sometimes referred to as ogbolo soup by people of Esan or Etkafo descent. From the Urhobo, there are two foods considered Urhobo in nature. They are ukwodo, a yam and unripe plantain dish, sometimes cooked with lemongrass and potage, and starch. Actual name of this staple is not often used, and owo soup. The starch is made from cassava plant. It is heated and stirred into a thick mold with oil palm added to give the starch its unique orange-yellow color. Owo soup is composed of smoked or dried fish, unique spices, potash, and oil palm juice. Other palm nut oil soups include amiedi banga, which is also eaten with starch or gari. Economy. Living in the tropical rainforest has helped to shape the economic choices of the Urhobo. They practice slash and burn farming that requires frequent crop rotation for soil preservation. Fishing and hunting are also important sources for subsistence. They also gather palm nuts and process them into oil, a commodity which is eventually traded on the international market. Religion. The Urhobo recognize the existence of a dual cosmological system, the spirit world and the physical world. It is believed that everyone in the physical world has a replica in the spiritual world, and that these two worlds have great influence over one another. Power, however, seems to be in the hands of the spirit, who are constantly making demands on and causing problems for the living, who in turn must appease the spirit through sacrifice. Every 10 years, the Urhobo hold a large masquerade ceremony for the entire community to honor the spirit. Study session summary. In this study session, we'll discuss 3 ethnic groups which include Ibibio, Ijaw, and Urhobo. We'll discuss the origin, political system, economy, religion, and art of the Ibibio. Also, the study session examined the history, language, clan, economy, political system, lifestyle, and religious and cultural practices of the Ijaw. Finally, we'll discuss the history, political system, culture, economy, and religion of Irobo people. This is the end of study session 8. Thanks for listening.